microphone's on the outside.
Is that not?
Yeah, no, it's going to be, no.
Oh, so like this.
Like that, yeah.
I think I'm dyslexic.
Another year,
No, this is the beginning.
or maybe less. What's this I hear? Well, you can guess. She feels neglected, and he suspected of making whoopee. She sits alone most every night. He doesn't phone, he doesn't write. He says he's busy, but she says, is he? He's making whoopee. He doesn't make much money, only 5,000 per. Some judge who thinks he's funny says you'll pay 6 to her. He says, now judge, suppose I fail. The judge says, fudge, right into jail. You'd better keep her. I think it's cheaper than making whoopee.
Good morning, my name is Susan Reardon. I'm a staff hearing officer, and I call the meeting of Wednesday, January 5th or 25th to order. Today we have 2 items on our agenda, and there was a previous request to switch the orders, but that has been withdrawn, so we will hear the items in the order they appear on the agenda. Under announcements and appeals, we have received an application for a coastal development permit for a secondary dwelling unit located at 2416 Medcliff Road. And no public hearing is required for this permit, but we did send out public notice, and we received one call from a neighbor who was just asking for additional clarification on the project description, and no other comments were received. And I've read the staff report, and I performed a site visit and find the project is consistent with our coastal plan and approve the coastal development permit. However, I did want to add a condition of approval to the proposed condition of approval regarding outdoor lighting, that the new light for the door to the secondary dwelling unit be shielded and directed towards the ground for our outdoor lighting ordinance. So that coastal development permit is approved with the amended conditions, and per our code, my action is not appealable, so the action stands. I don't have any other announcements and appeals. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the staff hearing officer on items not on our agenda today? Seeing no one, we'll go to the first item, which is 117 through 119 West Mason Street, if the applicant would like to come up to the table. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Dawn Sherry. I'm the architect and applicant.
Anytime you're ready.
Okay, Joanna Conti, assistant planner. Property address is 117 West Mason Street. The property is zoned R4 and is a 5,439 square foot lot. Current development on site consists of a 1,115 square foot single family residence at the front, an 824 square foot duplex that's detached with 3-car garage below and storage and laundry areas. The proposed project is for a 618 square foot addition to the second story addition to the existing single family residence and a 30-foot lower level addition in the non-appealable jurisdiction of the coastal zone. The proposal will be for a floating foundation, so no ground disturbance is proposed as part of this project. The ground surface will be covered with a moisture barrier prior to pouring the concrete slab. And if it becomes necessary to pour concrete on a level surface, clean fill such as sand will be used to create such a surface. Archaeological and Chumash monitoring will be conducted on site in accordance with the extended Phase 1 report. And no changes are proposed in this area to the duplex, the garages, and the laundry and storage areas. A little bit of background on this property. It is conforming to open yard requirements and density. However, it is non-conforming to parking with 3 covered parking spaces, and the addition is less than 50%, so it may remain non-conforming to those with 3 parking spaces. And it's non-conforming to both interior setbacks at approximately 5 feet instead of the 6 foot required. The request before you today is for modifications to allow construction in both 6 foot required interior setbacks. 2010 zoning report identified some building issues for interior alterations in this area over here for storage and laundry, and a condition has been added to the report to address those issues. Regarding the environmental review for the project, a historic structures report was approved by the Historic Landmarks Commission, which determined that the single-family residence's structure of merit worthy, but the proposed changes would be not less than significant. Also, due to sensitivity of resources for archaeological and conditions, that Phase 1 archaeological resources report was, and an extended Phase 1 cultural resources investigation and addendum to that report were accepted by the Historic Landmarks Commission with conditions that would require archaeological monitoring and Chumash monitoring, as outlined the addendum, and conditions have been added to that effect. With those conditions and with no grading conducted on the site, the project has been determined to meet the exemption for the California Environmental Quality Act as far as the environmental issues go. The existing single-family residence is non-conforming on both sides to the interior setback. The 30 square foot addition to the lower level is conforming. So the main issue is the upper level addition. It will encroach approximately 1.5 feet on one side of the property and 1 foot into the setback on the other side. The adjacent property buildings have a similar setback of approximately 5 feet, it appears from looking at the site. The proposed changes would maintain the design integrity of the existing single-family residence by allowing it to be in the interior setback. 5 new windows are proposed, 3 on the west elevation and 2 on the east elevation that are in the required setback on the second level. The 5 new windows proposed in the setbacks are relatively small and have been designed to be compatible with the existing architecture. The applicant's letter states that the fenestrations have been designed to maintain privacy for both the property owners and the adjacent neighbors. Staff supports the modifications request, which will allow for a reasonable addition to the building and result in a cohesive architectural appearance for the existing development on site. This project was reviewed by the Historic Landmarks Commission and was continued to the staff hearing officer with comments. The Historic Landmarks Commission expressed support for the side yard encroachments in an attempt to make continuous wall plans appropriate for the style of architecture. Staff would like the proposal approved and supported with the conditions outlined in the staff report. We did receive 1 letter regarding the project, which has been forwarded to the staff hearing officer. That concludes staff's presentation.
And that was Paula Westbury's, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, thank you. Would you like to add additional comments?
Yeah, well, the one thing I was going to point out, but Joanne did a really good job of it, so I don't really need to, but just I thought I would turn to the elevations and explain why we're asking for the modification, because normally we try not to design with modifications in mind, but because this house is a Spanish colonial revival style architecture, these are the elevations that we're requesting the mods for, and because the existing residence is already located in the setback, in order to achieve a 2-story planar mass and not a wedding cake effect to the architecture that would take it completely away from the existing the current style of the house, it was appropriate to do a stacked 2-story. It was also it turns out also important to maintain the existing structural integrity of the existing house, to not require internal beams that would then further complicate the foundation system and make it a little more complicated to do our floating slab structural system. So for all those reasons, we would like to maintain this design and the encroachment. Joanne mentioned that that there were 2 windows on the east elevation. There are actually 3.
Oh,
3 on each elevation. This is the west elevation. These are all bathroom windows. This is a closet and 2 bathroom windows, high windows, but important to allow west-facing light in. On the east elevation, 3 windows, this being the sitting room for the master suite. When I went back out and looked at the privacy issue from the east neighbors, there are 3 existing windows of approximately the same size that you probably noticed on your site visit that are across from here. And I spoke to the
Picture
owner.
shows.
Yeah, and I spoke to the property owner, my client, about if there was an issue with privacy. They don't want to. They want privacy as much as their neighbors do. So if it was going to be a stipulation of the modification to reduce the size of this window, they don't have a problem with that at all. They would probably, if this window were to remain larger, they would probably put a blind in front of it anyway. But it's nice just to have window. So I think that is all I wanted to say.
Good. I was going to question you on the window, so I'm glad you explained that. Now, this is truly an addition, not a demo rebuild. I mean, the front part of the building is going to be remained. Here's proposed. So here's new walls in this area.
This is all one space currently, so it just appears to be one long space, and they wanted the laundry separated for privacy, so we're adding these wing walls in this location. This is an arched opening. We're creating more of an open feel between the kitchen and living room, so a small portion of this existing wall is going to come out. There's a minor remodel to a bathroom situation over here because we wanted to create a powder room on the lower level, so you wouldn't have to go through the bedroom to get to the bathroom if you had guests. And then, of course, the addition of the stairwell. Because of the density issue, we had to maintain a 2-bedroom house to maintain density. So we had to agree, and the owners actually wanted more of a open living space. So we agreed to convert this existing bedroom. We had to open it up for the stairwell anyway, so it would have prohibited converting this back to a bedroom because of the stairway being here. And we'd like this all to be one big open living room. That's how we were able to do that. It's a couple. This is going to be their retirement home, and it's just 2 of them living there, so they don't need more than 1 guest bedroom.
And then why you touched on as you said, well, you like to design with no modifications. When we review projects, we always look for a conforming option before the mod option. And a lot of times this is opposite than what we hear. They say, we need the mod because we want to do a 1-story addition versus the 2-story addition. If we don't do the mod, we're going to do 2 stories. What kind of 1-story addition options did you look at, and what?
Let's go to the site plan. The yard is fairly small, as it is. There's photos showing the backyard. And so we wanted, and you can see it's been very nicely landscaped, and it's important to the owner to have the south-facing windows coming into the living spaces. So a 1-story, basically what they needed was a master suite. A decent-sized bedroom living space that is a proper master suite on a house this small. And in order to do that on the lower level, they would have lost half their yard. That's one argument. And they want, basically, in an effort to protect the existing greenery on the site, we felt that it was more appropriate to do a 2-story addition on this house. And we felt that because of the style of the house and then the neighborhood being surrounded by 2- and 3-story structures, this being, I think, the only one in the general 500-foot area that's still a 1-story. There are other houses down the street that are 1-story, but we felt that architecturally it was a nice improvement. And then if you look at the floor, also, if you look at the existing lower level floor plan, this courtyard is really special. It provides kind of a safe, warm haven with south-facing light to have breakfast on, and they didn't want to lose this. So we've just tried to maintain the two-story addition not only behind the street for the one-story character of the street, but also just nestled in the back and not lose this. We could have chosen to put a master suite right off of the living room back here. We would have lost all of our south-facing light into all of the living spaces. It's just bad or poor architectural design planning.
Okay. Great, thanks. I'd like to open the public hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to address the staff hearing officer on this item? No? As Joanne said, we did receive one letter expressing concerns on the project from Ms. Paula Westbury. So I'll close the public hearing. I went out to the site, visited the site, and looked around the neighborhood, drove around. It's a very cute neighborhood. I like that area. And I think my one main, well, like I said, we encourage to comply to the code. Very rarely do we approve modification requests for second-story additions inside the setback. There needs to be some, some significant site constraint just because of the impacts on the neighborhood. In this instance, I think it's a little different, given the existing character of the neighborhood, how they are closer together, and they're built out on both sides. And you have the additional constraint of the archaeological resources. So you do want to limit ground disturbance. Mm-hmm. And the majority of the disturbance, I believe, that's occurred on the site is underneath the house, although I read the ARC report and the historic structure report, and there is the possibility of stuff under there, and that's why you're proposing this special foundation plan. So that does have its potential impacts too. But in terms of the open area, the undeveloped area on the site, and the developed area, that is a better location for it. In terms of the amount of the requested modification, I like that it doesn't span the whole building size and that side, and that there is some relief popping in. And I understand the architectural goals, or to have that flat plane that matches with the existing style, and you're not doing a demo rebuild. You're keeping the character as it is, which is important because of the historic structures report. Mm-hmm. So I think balancing all those concerns, that this modification is an appropriate improvement. I was looking at the conditions, and I do want to add some. I don't know if these are forwarded to you or not. What I'm proposing to add is, in regards to archaeological resources, is the Phase 1 and the extended Phase 1 required monitoring. And so one of them would be that contract for the monitoring needs to be submitted with a building permit, and that's pretty standard when there's a required monitoring on projects I look at. I put that on. And then the general note that if archaeological resources are found, that work in that area shall be halted and further analysis done. And I can give this to you too. Mm-hmm. And then, so those are two new ones. And then I wanted to add 3, and I can just give this because I can remember what they I added 3 just to put the your project description in writing in regards to the floating foundation. That would be number 2. I haven't told number 1 yet. Okay. In regards to the no ground disturbance, which you're proposing, and then the floating foundation, and then if you need to get a level ground, that fill be used versus cut. So those are 2, 3, and 4. In regards to number 1, I was going back and forth regarding whether to require the windows to be smaller or not. And what I came down to, and why I say they just pay particular attention to it, is that given the sensitivity of the structure, that is potential structure of merit, window placement and size is important. And so I didn't want to dictate that in terms of a zoning requirement, but I do want them to look at it in terms of enhancing privacy for both sides. So that's what the first one says. So 2 through 8, I think, or 7, is in regards to just really specifying the archaeological concerns, and then one has to do with the window. So if you're fine with those, I could make the findings. I do actually want to make a change to the finding. The second sentence where it says, the proposed encroachments into the required interior setbacks allow for a uniform addition to the residence and maintain the design integrity of the existing structure on site. There are the three findings that you can make for modification. One of it is a uniform improvement or a uniform addition. And we generally make those for first-story additions. And like I said in my comments, there has to be extra circumstances why we would allow a second story to go up. So I don't want to say it allows for a uniform improvement, but it does allow for the continuous wall plane. So I thought that we can change it to say the proposed encroachments into the required interior setback allows a continuous wall plane as appropriate in the existing style architecture. And so it recognizes the architectural reasons why versus just the fact the wall's there and I just want to go up for the wall. Okay, so with the changes to the binding and those additional conditions of approval, I approve your request for a modification. This didn't need a coastal permit, right? It's excluded?
It's exclusion or exemption, right?
Yeah. Okay, so I'll approve your request for the modifications. My action is appealable to the Planning Commission within 10 calendar days. They also have oversight authority over all my actions, and if they thought this warranted additional discussion before them, they could call it up during that same 10-day appeal period. And if either of those actions would occur, Joanne will contact you. Okay?
Thank you.
Sure.
Have a good day.
You can keep all of this. Yeah. The next item is 2417 Medcliff Road. Yeah, sorry, if the applicant would like to come up.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Sid Goldstein.
Okay.
Good to meet you.
Good to meet you.
Hi, Kelly.
Kelly Broadison, Assistant Planner in Community Development. The project today is a coastal development permit for a residential addition in the appealable jurisdiction of the coastal zone. Let me turn to let's see. The project is on a 31,720 square foot lot in the Hillside Design District. Well, here's the lot. You can see on the aerial photo here on the cover sheet of the plans. It's right on the bluff top. Let's go to the site plan. The proposed project includes a remodel and a 334 square foot one-story addition to an existing 2,000 square foot one-story residence. The existing garage will be demolished and a new 455 square foot two-car garage will be constructed. Here's the area of the new garage, and then you can see the areas of the addition, which are on the landward side of the lot. No modifications are being required for this or being requested for this project. Usually, coastal development permits, or often they go to the Planning Commission. However, Section 2844 of the zoning ordinance states that staff hearing officer has the authority to review applications for single-family development unless the project is less than 50 feet away from the bluff, located seaward of the Sea Cliff retreat line. If the addition is greater than 500 square foot, in this case, it's less than 500, and also because it does not involve a second story, that's why the project is here today in front of you. Also, the Single Family Design Board reviewed the proposed addition and found the size of the addition and the style appropriate, stated the project was acceptable for the site and compatible with the neighborhood. The project conforms to all city zoning ordinances and policies of the general plan and the local coastal plan. Therefore, staff recommends that the staff hearing officer approve the project, making the findings outlined in the staff report and subject to the conditions of approval in Exhibit A. We did receive one letter of concern, and that's been forwarded to you for your review. We also have the applicant, the agent, Sid Goldstein, here to make a presentation on behalf of the property owner.
Okay, great, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning. Shall I?
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen the letter. That wasn't in your staff report, was it, Kelly?
No, I'll give it to you.
No, you
Oh,
can,
okay.
you can have mine.
Oh, okay, thanks. Well, we've worked a long time and very closely with Kelly to make sure that this project does conform to all the zoning regs. And as she indicated, there are no modifications requested. So, as Kelly pointed out, the additions are quite minor in nature to several areas on the building. They don't add specific rooms, but add 2 existing rooms. So it's more to upgrade and expand the master bedroom, the living area, and of course the garage, which currently is about realistically a 1.5 car garage, and this will add a full 2-car garage, so there will in fact be 2 covered parking spaces. The bluff setback, here's the 50-foot line. So you can see all the construction, all the proposed project is beyond the 50-foot setback line. We did receive favorable comments from the Design Review Board, and we do need to go back for final approval, but all of their comments from their initial review have been incorporated in the plans. A lot of those dealt with landscaping. We've also provided a detailed and approved stormwater quality management plan, and that would be part of the construction documents. We have a geology report, which will be complied with. Phase 1 archaeology study indicated that there were no findings, and that has been reviewed and approved by the Landmark Committee. With regard to the floor area ratio, we are well below the allowed. We're about 59% with the proposed project of what is allowed. And other than that, I'm glad to answer any questions.
Okay, great. Can you kind of discuss, I went out to the site and visited, it's a very nice site. It's nice you have a large setback from the bluff top.
Yeah.
But I did notice that huge lawn area. So if you can just explain
Sure.
the proposed changes in the backyard area.
Yeah, what's going to be happening is most of the lawn, most of that existing lawn, will be removed and replaced with a low water use, drought-tolerant ground cover.
Okay.
And that will be part of the final landscape plan, and that will be incorporated in the plan that goes back to the Design Review Board for their final approval.
Okay.
That's in the conditions, too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, here we go. You have it written right here. 75-year. So 75 years about here, and then the 50 kind of went through the pool, 50-foot.
Correct.
And the existing house, I just saw, is about 79 feet, was it, from the edge of the bluff?
The corner of it, yes.
Or the addition part. Let's see right here. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, I think the corner right here is around 80 feet, a little less than 80 feet. Well, yeah, 79 feet to there.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd like to open the public hearing. Seeing no one in the audience, I'll close the public hearing. And the letters from Ms. Paula Westbury, she regularly monitors all of our agendas and
Okay.
submits comments on them. So, like I said, I went out to the site. I actually went out twice because Monday when I started my site visits, it wasn't raining. I got to the site and it was pouring.
Right,
Yeah,
yes.
so I went back yesterday and walked around the site, and like I said, it's a very nice lot. It's nice, it has a large setback. I do appreciate the fact that you're actually removing encroachments. There's the existing garage is within the setback, and it's being demolished and pushed back. And in regards to the additions over on the side of the house, I just wanted to note the pool equipment, it is outside of the setback, but you will need to provide some information regarding the noise level at the property line. That would be during the building permit phase. You may
Okay.
ask to make sure it's shielded so the sound at the property line doesn't exceed our requirements.
Yeah, we actually, we'll provide that. We did check with the manufacturer just to make sure it wasn't going to be an issue.
Okay, yeah. In regards to coastal policies, I think your project complies with them in terms of visual resources. It's all one story. It's not in a highly scenic area. You can't see the residents from the bluff. There's no archaeological concerns. geology, I saw was 3 reports attached to the staff report that look specifically at the site stability and the potential impacts of your addition to the bluff, as well as drainage improvements, and it does recommend a number of improvements, specifically in regards to the roof gutters and capturing the runoff. And
Right.
I saw those were included in the conditions of approval. So I think this project can be found consistent with our coastal plan, and I would be able to make the findings. I reviewed the conditions, and you've looked at the conditions. You're fine with them?
I have, yes.
Okay. I would like to just kind of add a little bit to condition C1, which is on page 3 of 8. And just, it says, the project shall comply with the geologic report prepared by so-and-so. Just put that the project shall comply with the recommendations contained in the geologic report. So, I mean, that's what it means, but just
Right.
so that we know what part to look at when it comes through building permit. And yes, I saw in there it talked about the landscaping and other minor improvements, and then also looked at your SWIMP requirements and making sure that that wouldn't cause an impact or adverse impact to the cliffs. So,
Right.
so I think with just that minor change to the conditions of approval, I can make the findings outlined in the staff report and approve the project with the amended conditions. And my action is appealable, like you heard me say in the project beforehand, it's appealable to the Planning Commission within 10 calendar days, and they also have oversight authority of all my actions, and if they believe this warranted additional discussion before them, they could call it up during that same 10-day
Okay,
appeal period. And if that happened, Kelly would contact you.
great.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Great, sure.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. And,
Can we go ahead and apply for final single-family review board prior to the appeal?
yes.
period?
Yeah. You can
Okay.
apply for it. If there's appeal, they won't schedule it.
Okay,
So,
Great.
But yes, so I'll adjourn the meeting.
great. Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Don't mind so much if I can look at him, look at him, look at him.